Hello friends, I am going to do a tutorial for making the blingy Converse. This was the first pair I ever did about 3 years ago, so I don't know if you can see here, but some of the crystals do fall off over time sometimes, but the foil back stays on there, and so it's still shiny amidst the other crystals. It's not a huge deal, but you can see like my lines weren't that great. So, and everybody still compliments these. So if you do them and they're not perfect, no big deal. And then this one I decided to get a little bit more creative and did some stripes of some different colors, and that's even a different size there. Some of those have fallen off as well just because, you know, my girls are rough on the shoes. And then I am about to hopefully make some pink ones with just some white diamond toes. Okay, so these are the basic supplies that you need. Pair of shoes, some alcohol just to rub the area that you're going to, just to clean the area that you're going to be gluing things. Some crystals. These are Swarovski flat back crystals. The Swarovski have the best bling to them. They're the brightest and the shiniest, so highly recommend spending a little extra and getting those. Usually specialty bead stores have them, or there's a couple websites where you can get them pretty reasonable, and there's all different sizes. These are 16 SS, which is like a certain millimeter, sorry. And I find them pretty easy to work with. The smaller crystal you go, the more intricate designs you can do, but the harder they are to work with. This is the E6000 glue. It's special that it adheres to the rubber really well. Just any sort of stick that you have. I have these orange wood sticks that come in really handy just to help like press down on the crystals. And then this is a little wax stick that I got from the crystals2love.com website that's proven really handy, because I'll show you in a minute, but you can pick them up pretty easily. And then this has come in handy. This is one of those jewelry polishing cloths that you can put the crystals out on, and they're much easier to flip over and get a hold of than if you're on a flat surface where they just fall and it's impossible to pick them up. So that has proven really handy. You know, lots of times you can get them from a hotel or something too. And this is just, there's a couple different ways to apply the glue. You can either just apply it directly onto the shoe and then quickly place the crystals, or put a little dab in something and then take the, you know, a little dab with the glue. Anyway, I'll show you both ways. Also, if you don't want to leave the regular shoelaces in, you can use ribbon. I just got some cheap ribbon, and a little trick is you can cauterize the edge of the ribbon just with like a little fire. Fun. And it works really well, and so you can just make that laces. Okay, so I'm just getting a little alcohol on, and I'm just cleaning off the shoes just to get them prepared. I usually just sit here and kind of flip them over so that they're a little easier to grab, just a few in a row. And then I'm just going to show you the direct method first. But so just a tiny bit to start. It looks like the front of my glue is just a little dried out. So these wax sticks come in handy because you can just pick one up, and then I can just push it down onto the glue and just kind of settle it in there, and you can see that there's some glue kind of around it. And whenever this glue is pretty easy, like once it dries, just to flake off. I usually have like a little pile of flaked off glue here, but I like it when the glue kind of comes around the crystal a little bit, so that just a little bit on the sides, just so I know it's got enough and it's gonna hold on, and then the glue dries really clear. And I try to make the outside of the shoe, because it's not necessarily all going to line up perfectly along the edges if you're doing straight lines across. So I try to make the outside of the shoe look more uniform, because that's the side that people notice the most. And then if it's a little fudged on the inside, it's no big deal. And I usually start right here just because that's the straightest line and go across. And sometimes I have to pull one off and reposition it, or especially if I'm doing some sort of design, sometimes I have to pull off a whole section of them and just redo them, and that's usually not a big deal. So that's how you do it. You just sit there and do it over and over. Okay, you'll see how they pick up the light when they're faced over it, and then that is face down. You see it's got this silver backing on it. When you have to pull them off, if the silver backing comes off, that's what the light reflects against, and so that's what causes the bling. So if that comes off, then that crystal is just lost, because otherwise it will just be a piece of glass and it will not shine like this and sparkle. So to update, this is where I'm at so far. Since you're putting these flat backs on a curved surface, I'm trying to do it in straight lines because I found that to be the most uniform way to have it look good, rather than this, how I did it just random, and it's like that line, you know, that line ends up just not looking as good. So sometimes it gets a little complicated when you get down here to the toe, and so I try to just make sure, that this area here lines up well. So I kind of bud them up next to each other, but then sometimes in order to make it work out on the other side, like if there's not a lot of room, I like doing just the strip of glue across, because then the crystals are still a little bit movable. They pretty much dried now that I've turned it on, but you can see they're still a little bit movable. So I just push them a little bit forward to make it the line up, so there's like little spaces, but that makes it look better overall. So I hope that makes sense, and just little tricks that I've come up with. But again, if you end up not having it in perfect rows and stuff like that, like, it will still look good. So the toe, again, kind of the tricky part. None of these in this row are glued down yet. I just place them to see how many are going to fit, to see if it's worth it. Sometimes like only 2 fit, and I think it looks weirder to put 2 than not at all. Just judge it, like every shoe is made just a tad bit different, and depending on the size of the crystals and how you lined them up. So clearly that one is not gonna fit. So if I take that one off, then I have to decide if that 3 looks good, or would it look better just not having them there at all. So anyway, just that's how each shoe, just when you get down to the toe. But again, no one's going to scrutinize it near as much as you will in this moment. I just made the ribbon roughly the length of the shoelace. Gave it a couple extra inches. So just kind of get the flame close to the end of the ribbon. You'll see it just kind of shrinks a little bit. It doesn't really catch on fire. So that just kind of seals the end of the ribbon, so hopefully you won't, if you do use it as shoelaces, it won't fray. You can see this one looks a whole lot better. We're trying to do it at a better angle. So here is the final shoe. I was able to push up that row a little bit and actually fit 5 on the front to finish it off very nicely, so there's no big holes or gaps or stuff. So you can see that that edge is not perfect, but again, no one will notice. So, and the outside looks pretty good. And then because this one had stars, I just went ahead and put one on each star, and then put some ribbon as the shoelace. And so now you have your blingy, very girly Converse. And hopefully I will get a picture of some that I did in a black diamond. I did an M and then an L on the other shoe for little baby's initials, with this black diamond color as the letters. So anyway, happy blinging!